How are you doing this morning?
Doing great, Colette. I love your background. I
Oh,
remember
thank you.
walking right along there and getting ice cream.
That's right. So I just wanted to introduce you to those who may be new to the industry or have never heard you speak before. Everyone, this is Bob Hale, CEO and President of HAR, Houston Association of Realtors, and HAR.com, their MLS in Houston. Tell us again, you have 42,000 members.
Correct.
And how do you rank nationwide as an association and an MLS?
Number two. Now,
Oh,
MLS, we have, association MLSs with over 100,000, 95,000, 65,000. So we're about 40,600 MLS.
Wow.
So we're not the biggest by any means. We're second largest association in the country.
Quite a large sample, though, for us to aspire to, I think, with everything that you do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking time to be with us today and to share your research and knowledge about our industry. And it's been quite a year thus far, right?
Yes, it has.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing at HAR and what you're seeing in the marketplace. With everything going on, how did HAR transition to become more digital and in this age and now?
Let me first start with the fact that HAR, although it closed its 4 physical locations, never closed. We began to do business from 80 virtual locations where our staff are. And we never missed a beat. Member services were provided, even probably better than in the physical world. We started getting members calling and saying, hey, when are you going to open? And so I told the staff, ask them why they want us to open. What's the reason? 100% of the time it was, I need a lockbox. So we developed a pandemic compliant super center. So the members would order lockboxes or signs or whatever they needed online, pay for them online, let us know when they would be there. They would drive up, we would take their package out, hand it to them, and they'd be on their way. Now, we're really big size-wise, so people living an hour away didn't want to drive to HAR to pick up a lockbox. So we worked out a deal with 12 different title companies all around the greater Houston area. So members can now pick the most convenient location, order the lockbox online, go to the title company, pick it up. Title company's happy, members are ecstatic. It's worked out really well. So we had to be innovative and think different. We also waived third quarter MLS fees, and that amounted to about $6 million that we waived the members' fees. That was obviously very popular. We started MLS phone and online chat support 7 days a week, and we're getting about 6,000 monthly member contacts from members just about MLS issues. Our training has increased 40% by the fact we went to online virtual training, no more in-class training. And it's interesting, in December, we made an offer on an office building right next door to HAR's building. We offered $8.7 million for a 13,000 square feet building. And we did it for training, where we could do more training classes. They rejected our offer, and now we're ecstatic that they did.
Right.
We're actually now cutting back on our space as opposed to increasing, because 90% of our members polled said they prefer online digital training to driving to HAR to be trained for one simple reason. They don't want to have to fight the traffic. Right. They do not want the traffic. So that's been very positive. So that's kind of some of the things we've been doing.
So are you seeing changes in consumer behaviors as well through this?
Yeah, it's a lot of change there, I think. I mean, if you think back to March, very few people that I know work from home. And yet today, 50% of Americans are working from home. And according to surveys, 75% of those want to continue working from home, either all or part-time. And 54% believe that they're more productive working from home than at the office. And if you look at some of the large employers like Facebook and Twitter and Microsoft and Apple and Zillow and Google with 200,000 employees, they will all allow the vast majority of their employees to work from home indefinitely. So that's a giant shift. So who's going to benefit from that? I think smaller cities will benefit, because let's say you work in LA and you're going to go to the office 1 day a week. You may decide to live in Palm Springs and commute 1 day a week. Or you work in New York City, you may decide to live in the Hamptons and commute 1 day a week into the city for work. And then you put on top of that the fact that 2 million renters that work and live in large cities, if they're able to work from home, they can move to a smaller city, and guess what? They can afford to buy a home. And so if you just imagine 2 million more potential home buyers, and that we call that the great reshuffle. And HAR's agent survey said that 64% of them want to continue working from home. They love it. And Zillow made the comment, does it matter where their employees get their work done? We don't think so, as long as they get their work done. It really doesn't matter. And then you asked me about consumer other behaviors changing. Consider Instacart is currently hiring 300,000 workers to deliver groceries. So after this is over, will consumers go back to the grocery store, or will they continue to order their food online? You go to the computer, you order your food, you get it in 2 hours. Susie and I haven't been to a grocery store in person in probably over a year. We have Instacart 3 times a week, everything you could possibly want without the hassle of driving over there, getting a cart, all that stuff. Now, consider Netflix and Amazon versus theaters. For Susie and I to go to the theater, it's about $50. You pay to park, you buy your tickets, you get your popcorn and Coke and probably candy. And that's no way around it, about $50. And the best theater is going to have a maximum of probably 10 movies to select from. Or you could pay $13 a month for Netflix, and we already have Amazon Prime Video, and they've got 23,000 movies to select from. And you're at home. You don't have to fight the stop, And then the other one is Zoom versus hotels and airlines. Zoom with 300,000 daily users. And I checked just before we got on the call. Today, Zoom is worth $165 billion. In March, I never had heard of Zoom. I never had heard of Zoom in March. And today, if you add up the value of Marriott and Hilton and Hyatt hotels and American and United and Southwest Airlines, so 3 biggest hotels, 3 large airlines, their combined value is $102 billion. So that means Zoom's well worth over 50 billion more than all of those combined. And I call Zoom the business travel killer, because when this is over, companies are not going to send their employees or salespeople to do a 1-hour presentation for a 4-hour airline trip in a hotel, when you could do it over Zoom just as easy. So I think we're going to see a major shift there. The other one is Amazon versus the malls. Amazon is convenient. You have when I say a larger selection, you have an entire selection, and you have security. You don't have to worry about being mugged walking from the store to your car in the parking garage, which is often the case. And the last one that I love is telemedicine versus going to see the doctor in person. Right now, when I go to a doctor, all of mine are at the medical center. Time I drive down there, I valet park, I get on the elevator, I go up there, I wait in the little waiting room in the back for about 20 minutes, see the doctor for about 10 minutes or less, and then drive home. That's a 2-hour deal. There's no way around it. Or I can do a video call with the doctor in 10 minutes sitting at my desk. I mean, it's a no-brainer. People are not going to want to go back unless the doctor has to physically feel you or look at something. But 99% of the time, they've done a test and they give you the results. So these are some changes that I think will stay with us after this is over.
Yeah, and those numbers, some of those numbers are astounding. They really are. So as far as a real estate transaction changing, how is that how is that looking before, I mean, between now and before, between the agent and the consumer?
Yeah, I think so much of what we're seeing was already taking place. It was just kind of crawling along, and now it's like sped up tremendously. Gary Keller has stated that the overall impact of the pandemic on the real estate industry is that new ideas and developments that once would take 5 years to take place will now take place in 12 to 18 months. We're already way down that road.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something he said at a recent Emma conference where he was interviewed by Brad. He said, physical companies ask, what's the least we have to do digitally to remain competitive? And digital companies ask, what's the least we have to do physically to remain competitive? And he recently emailed me and he said, we all have a choice: become digitally based and physically enhanced, or just simply become irrelevant. And so I think everybody pretty much agrees we're on a track of digital versus physical. Not that physical will ever go away. Of course it won't. You're just going to use digital to make life easier, to remove the pain points in our life. So if you look at the real estate transaction, what do we see? E-signature. I mean, it's consumers are like, oh my gosh, I can do it on my phone in a matter of seconds. I can be sitting in a restaurant and accept an earnest money contract. Automated valuations versus appraisers coming into the home, that's going to happen. It's already starting. Digital documents versus mounds of paper. So instead of going to a closing and having a foot-high pile of papers, it'll all be digital. You can look at it at your convenience in advance. Virtual notaries versus in-person notaries. Right now, a notary looks at the fact you signed a document and you write your name in a little book, which is cute. But a virtual notary records it. They record me signing. They record a picture of my driver's license. They have proof that me, Bob Hale, signed that document because they use Zoom or Facebook Live or whatever. And so there's never a question down the road. And then the last thing is virtual closings. You can be driving down the road, not you driving, but in the passenger seat, and use your iPhone and sign your documents and transfer your funds and do the entire closing without ever going into a title company again. And consumers, we're witnessing new desires that they have. One, they want a larger yard and they want a pool. I can't tell you over the years how many people have told me, God, I love that house, but I wonder what it would cost to fill the pool in. Now they want the pool because they realize if they're stuck at home for a year, you want to live at a resort if you possibly can. And they've got to have a true home office, and they really have to have reliable high-speed internet. And so these are things that we never thought about a home office. You always thought about internet, but not that you have to have it to do your business. And they want safety and convenience, which is physical moving to digital. And then the last thing I'll mention is the Houston brokerage market and how it has changed so quickly. If you look at ranking of the largest brokers in the country by Stefan Swanepoel, the number 3 broker is Compass. The number 4 broker is EXP. The number 5 broker is Redfin. And the number 6 broker is Douglas Elliman. And now all those brokers are in the Houston market. They weren't that long ago, but they all came very quickly. And overnight, it seems like if you rank the brokers based upon dollar volume of current active listings, Compass is number 1, Elliman number 5, and EXP number 7. And of our 7 largest brokers, only 2 are independently owned by Houston people. 2 are owned out of New York, 2 are owned out of New Jersey, and 1's owned out of Washington State. Major shift. I mean, overnight in the way the brokerage, the brokerage market has changed. I mean, huge change overnight.
So do you think that they've just been able to predict better what the consumer wants post COVID-19? Are they?
Yeah, I don't know. They really do business different. They rely heavily on technology. EXP, for example, has no offices. When I interviewed Glenn Sanford, I said, "How is the work from home affecting you?" He said, "Bob, we've never had an office." "What do you mean? We've always worked from home. Hadn't affected us at all." So it's a different world, and the money they have, it's not millions anymore, it's billions of dollars that these companies have. And it's just a new ball game all the way around. Just a new ball game.
So you were saying earlier that you had done a survey, HAR, what agents and consumers were wanting post COVID-19. Can you share a couple of those with us?
Yeah, yes, and part of this research is from Zillow. Zillow does incredible consumer research, and they found that the three things consumers want most are time with their family. So you're a grandparent, you've got grandkids that live, 15 minutes away, but you can't go hug them. You can watch them on, Zoom. You can stand in the front yard and say hi, but you can't get that loving. The second thing they want is travel and vacations. Get out of the house, get on that airplane, go to the beach. And then the third thing they want is their restaurants, because people, that's where you socialize. You don't go to eat, you go to socialize and have fun. Now, that's the three things they want. The things they probably won't do anytime soon or attend large events like sporting events or concerts or movie theaters or retail shopping. They're nervous about those things. 33% want to work from home, 11% want to work from the office, and 53% want a blend of office and home. So only 11% want to just work from the office, which is, so if you're a company, a broker, or any kind of business, and you've got a lot of office space, you're probably not going to need it, going forward. It's going to change. And as I said, 90% of our agents want virtual training. They don't want to drive to HR anymore to be trained. They say it's actually better virtually than it is in person. And then we just had our member conference, kind of like you're doing. And for the last number of years, the most people we've had attend our conference was 500. This year we had 2,700 attend because it was virtual. Wow. So that was 5 times more than ever before. And I think going forward, it won't be in person, it won't be virtual, it'll be a combination, a blend of both of these.
Well, I know it just with myself, I find that the virtual conferences can actually be very valuable because you can schedule your day pretty easily and make the time to get to the actual events that you want to. You're not worried about moving from one building to another. And did you make it on time? Did the bus come on time to take you?
Right.
And, those types of things. So there's definitely some positives with regards to some of the huge conferences that we attend. So moving on to just technology tools that agents will need that you're finding, what do you think they will need to be relevant to keep up with their consumers' expectations?
Well, one thing we do is we look at every day Zillow and Realtor.com because they're the leaders in the portal world and they're the best. And we love to get ideas. We love to be, because we're competing with them for eyeballs in Houston. So we want to see what do they have that we don't have and vice versa. And even though we're competitors, we're very good friends. We work very well together. There's no, us versus you. If you go to Zillow or Realtor.com right now on every listing, they're offering buyers tours of a property, and it can be in person or it can be video. And so they realize what consumers want, and they're trying to give that to them. And so we have adopted, or we've created a set of virtual tools. One is a virtual open house tool where an agent can promote an open house virtually at a certain time. People can sign up, get a link, then, there could be 5 people there, there could be 500 people there because it's all virtual. And it's recorded so people can watch it after the fact from anywhere in the world at any time. We did a survey of our agents and we said, when you have an in-person open house, how many people typically attend? Half said 0 to 5 and half said 5 to 10 or more. So 5 is the average, the median. We've had open houses that are virtual where 162 people attended, not to mention those that watched it later on video. So if your goal is to attract buyers, the virtual is hands down the way to go. Now, pardon me, if you look at the 7th largest broker in the country, Howard Hanna Real Estate, and you go to their website, you see they have bought in 100% to the virtual open house. They've got every one of their listings that is a virtual open house, and you can search all of those at the very top of their main website page. So they believe in it, and more people are going this way because it's working. We've had over 17,000 agents, consumers attend one of our agent virtual open houses so far. Then we created the virtual showing tool. And so with that, people can't ask to come, you the agent, invite them. So let's say you're my client, Colette, and you want to see a house. I can walk through it, show it to you on my phone, but I can invite everybody in my database to join me also. Now, you ask me a question, they don't see the question or the answer. So it's totally private. That way they're not hearing what, we're talking about, but each one is a private conversation. So that's the second thing. The third thing is we created a 3D tour. So with the Rico camera, the agent can very quickly, you don't have to pay a company to come in and do your 3D tour. You can do it yourself in literally a matter of minutes, and it's free. All of these are free on realtor.com. And then, the virtual open house, if you read the article in Inman recently, where NAR survey said that 31% of realtors feel unsafe doing an open house, the virtual open house really helps to solve that problem. And 10% of the buyers, and Zillow says it's 30%. So somewhere between 10 and 30% of buyers say with the right virtual tools, I would buy a house sight unseen. And we're seeing now $1 million homes from Napa to Atlanta as examples being sold, never physically went in the house.
Wow.
$1 million. And then the last thing is real estate search is way up. In August, HR.com, we received 73 million individual listing views from 8.5 million unique visitors. And that was a 69% increase in views over the prior year.
Wow, that's some serious numbers. So what some other major changes you're seeing in the industry year over year, as far as how does your inventory and
down. Sales are up. Our price is the highest it's ever been, but it's hard to find inventory. It's just, pardon me, very, very way down.
So the major changes, some of the major changes you're witnessing are listings being down, mortgage rates dropping.
Being low, yep.
What else is
pardon me. Well, we all know that real estate is doing great. Everybody worried about in March, we got to cut expenses because it's going to be a disaster. It's been in our market the best it's ever been in history. And I know that's not unique. That's all over the country. So Open Doors about to go public for a value of $5 billion. Zillow, as I said, recently valued at $25 billion, Redfin at 5.6, EXP at 3.5 billion, 3 times the value of Realogy. Compass is about to probably do a IPO for 6.4 billion. So real estate is doing incredible. But then compare, the COVID pandemic will deliver a roughly $8 trillion blow to the US economy over the next 10 years. And renters, let's look at renters. $34 billion in past due rent is coming due January 1. 34 billion. What's that going to do to evictions? It's going to, it's scary beyond belief.
Mhm.
Restaurants, as I said, 24,000 are now closed, and 25% of those are predicted never to reopen. In retail, Brooks Brothers and J. Crew and Lord Taylor, J.C. Penney's, Pier 1, and even Marcus, on and on and on, all in bankruptcy. Travel, American, United, and Southwest Airlines are laying off 71,000 workers. Theaters, AMC, the world's largest movie theater chain, lost $2.4 billion in the first quarter of this year, and Regal Cinemas, the second largest theater chain, is closing all of its locations. So pretty soon there may not be any movie theaters to physically go to. Energy. Not long ago, ExxonMobil was one of the most valuable companies in the world. Today, Tesla is worth twice as much as ExxonMobil. And British Petroleum is investing $5 billion in offshore wind technology, wind power.
Wow.
So you're seeing a major shift in energy by, by the oil companies themselves. Portals, Zillow is a media company generating Zillow Premier Agent leads for a fee. It's also an iBuyer and has created a brokerage, Zillow Homes, to represent itself in Zillow offers, and it's now a member of HAR and its MLS. It's also launched Zillow Home Loans and Zillow Closing Services. And then you got Realtor.com. It bought OpCity and is selling quality leads to agents. It's connecting consumers with Rocket Mortgage. So if you're a broker and you own a mortgage company and the consumer goes to Realtor.com, they're going to be introduced to Rocket Mortgage before they get to the broker, very possibly. It's also offering flood factor on all properties so consumers can see the risk of buying a home and what's the risk of it ever flooding. Now that's going to impact your market. It's going to impact my market. It's going to impact Florida and Louisiana and many coastal areas. So Realtor's doing some gutsy things that I never thought I'd see it do, but it's doing it. And it's partnered with iBuyer Open Door. So it's helping consumers get to Open Door on Realtor.com. And then big data, Climate Check, which is a company that Brad Inman and his son and others have started, is now available to consumers, and it gives individual property risks on, I guess, every property in America for the assessment for flood, storms, fires, heat, and drought. So let's say you live in Hilton Head or Houston, you want to know about hurricanes. You live in California, you want to know about forest fires. You live in Iowa, you want to know about flooding. And so these are all things that are happening. All these have happened pretty recently, and they're big and they are going to affect us. So we're seeing major shifts in every industry, retail and energies and theaters and you name it. And as history has shown, choices made during crises can shape behaviors for decades to come. So I want to challenge you and your staff and your visionary leaders and your members of the Hilton Head Island MLS to identify what innovations and trends and shifts and forces that you see that will define your next normal, and then design your post-pandemic business plan to meet those. And if you do, you're going to be really, really successful. And Colette, I know you and your team are set to do that, and I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you so much, Bob. I can't tell you how great it's been spending our coffee time this morning with you. And we definitely are going to be encouraging all of our members to educate yourself on what's actually going on in the rest of the country, and take some of those ideas and apply them to what you're doing now. And those statistics that you have are some are pretty mind-boggling. So I think it will be an impetus for all of us to continue to look ahead and plan for, the best real estate decisions we can possibly make for our clients.
let me just say, as soon as it's safe and we could travel, I want my first trip to be to Hilton Head to see you
Well,
guys.
we would
I miss
love
you.
to have you.
You're the best team out there.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. So
Have a great conference.
thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.